I think we're live. I'm gonna check my page.
It shows live.
Oh shoot! Oh look, we came up quick. Okay, so I'm gonna pin it. I'm gonna tag you.
Okay.
Let the people come on in. Come on in the room, y'all. Yeah. And when y'all come in, let us know you can hear us. Okay, boom. So I got your business page.
I'm
Make
waiting
sure
on
that
it to
is.
pop up. Okay, we popping up
Oh,
now.
you
Okay,
see,
let's
you see,
see.
we in there. Okay, so the actual live is public. What's going on, y'all? Come on in the room. Oh, they coming. They
Yes.
coming. Listen.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
adding. We're
You
on
add
there.
look.
I adding. I'm adding.
I'm
Okay.
about to share to listen. We ain't playing. Okay, cool. We in there. You good? You was
I
able to
think
add to
so.
all right.
I think I did everything now. This ain't my area of expertise. So, but
We
I
gonna
think
make
I
it do what
did.
it do.
Yes,
Okay, and I'm
we
gonna put
are.
my we're on airplane mode. Let's get it. Hi guys. I'm so excited. Listen, this whole 6 o'clock, I've been waiting on this all morning. I'm looking at the clock like, oh, when we go? When we go pop this off? What's going on? Listen, welcome everybody. Welcome to After the Dark, Surviving Domestic Violence. I am your host, Erika Genice, and I have dope conversations with dope people. You already know how this goes. I'm asking everybody on this live to please like, love, and share. Even if you feel like this doesn't resonate with you and you haven't been through this situation, I guarantee you, you know someone close to you, whether they're saying it or not, that is going through something or has been. And so please like, please share. I want to get as many shares as possible on this because we need to spread this awareness. We have to. Okay, so the purpose of this platform and the purpose of us coming together today is to inspire and motivate people to improve the relationship with self. We do this by bringing in prominent leaders in the mental health field, spiritual and relationship fields, with the hopes of just having like these closed door conversations brought to the forefront. We have joining us today, Corynthia Reece. What's
Hey.
going on? I'm so excited to have you here. Listen, Reece is a licensed professional counselor. She's a licensed chemical dependency counselor with over 16 years of experience in the mental health field. Her experience includes working with various populations and ages, with local mental health authorities and school systems. And she just opened up a practice of her very own. I'm so excited. We got to dig into that later or whenever, but I'm so happy for you. She opened up her very own practice. I'm assuming it's in Tyler.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Downtown
Also,
Tyler.
okay, I got some roots in Tyler, so I've been there many a times. I'm sure that you're also online, and so we'll dig into that later on, where people can find you and all of the great things. And your goal is to help people find their happy place by
Absolutely.
promoting self love and acceptance. I feel like our missions in life align because that's exactly what this platform is about. So, thank you for joining us. And let's not forget our dope audience members. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for giving us just a hour of your time on your Sunday. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to pull up on us. We appreciate it. If you can let us know where you're tuning in from, and if you can throw out some purple hearts, in support of anyone who maybe going through any sort of domestic violence or know someone, or if you just want to give some hearts out because you just feeling real hearty today, let's give us some purple hearts. I need the whole thing to flood. Give us some purple hearts. What's up? We got somebody here. We'll say, what's up, fam? Bam. Hi. We have someone tuning in from Austin. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. I'm here in Dallas with Frisco. You're in Tyler.
Yes.
And let's get it. So yes, please love, share this video. Please share, throw out the purple hearts, and just let us know where you are tuning in from. Hubby on there, hubby with the heart.
You know, he's my number one supporter.
He's literally the best. When I tell you that he promoted better than me, I was like, oh, he's so cold at promoted. Listen, shout out to the husbands out here that support their wives. Like, it was so incredible. Okay, let's get started. So I like to start with a quote, and you just let me know how you feel about the quote, and let me know if it resonates. And dope audience members, y'all already know how this go. The quote says this: "It doesn't matter how rich or poor a person is, what gender or social class, or how much fame or education that he or she possesses. Verbal, mental, and physical abuse can happen and occur to anyone at any time." Do you agree with that?
That's definitely true. Definitely true. That's a part of the definition that I was actually going to say is it doesn't miss anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are, how socially unattractive you are. It doesn't matter about any of that. It don't miss any of us. It don't care. It doesn't discriminate is what I oftentimes say.
Yeah. Welcome, Valencia. We got some hearts still coming in here. She's in Tyler. We got a Tyler, Texas. Young Tyler people in here.
Yes. That's my cousin. Hey, cousin.
Hey, cousin. We all family up in here. How would you define domestic violence?
Basically, to put it plain and simple, is domestic violence is about gaining and maintaining control over somebody. It doesn't play fair. It's not about you feeling like you're an equal partner. It's about that person using everything they can to gain that power over you, using fear, guilt, manipulation, intimidation, all of those things to get you right where they want you to be.
Yeah. How many types is it of domestic violence? I didn't even realize until, of course, I started studying that there are many different types of domestic violence. But if you could just highlight how many you feel like is important, or all of them, or however you want to do it, what types of domestic violence is out there?
So there's, of course, physical abuse, and that's the one that most people think about primarily. There's sexual abuse, but the biggest one, and the one that has the lifelong kind of impact, is the emotional abuse and the psychological abuse, as well as, of course, there's verbal abuse. But that emotional abuse is the one that weighs a lot. I oftentimes tell people, we used to hear that old saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me." And I always tell people that's an ugly lie, because words hurt way worse than sticks and stones. We can heal from some bruises. We can heal from a broken leg, but somebody getting in your head and changing the way you feel about yourself, is that right there is some lifelong trauma. That right there is abuse on a whole nother level.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that before the full manifestation, right, of abuse, that there has to be signs that occur prior, right? I don't feel like you wake up one day and say, I'm in an abusive relationship. So how does that manifestation play out and over time? Like what are some things we should be looking for?
Some of the things most people have to look for are, like, do you feel like you can't talk to your partner? Are you afraid to be open and honest with them because you don't want them to blow up? You don't want them to snap at you. you just go along with what they say just to kind of keep them at bay and not have to worry about how they're going to respond. That person may check in on you all the time, or you're having to check in with them all the time. It's like if you were out on girls' night and every 30 minutes he's texting or calling you, that's not appropriate. And vice versa with the male as well. If every
Absolutely.
30 minutes you hanging out with the guys and she's calling you, talking about where you at, what you doing, all of that, those are all warning signs that this is something that could come. People that are typically more possessive, they have a huge temper, very jealous. Those are some of those warning signs as well.
Okay. That makes sense. Like, so it isn't just an overnight thing. These things
No.
are layered, I'm assuming, just
Mm-hmm.
over time. So how would
Yes.
somebody know if they are like 100% in a domestic violence situation? Like, this isn't well, I've seen the signs over time, but now I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm fully blown. What would those signs look like?
So some of it is all of those things we just talked about, but then on
Yep.
top of that, we're going to add some more of they are humiliated, they're criticized in front of other
Mhm.
people, they're mistreated by
Yeah.
the abuser, they get embarrassed in front of other people, like if they're getting cussed out in front of family
Mm,
and friends. If the things that they're doing, like they make an accomplishment, they get a promotion at work, they finish up
yeah.
their degree, if that's just ignored or kind of bypassed, like whatever. Um, then a big one is if somebody hits you or talks to you in an ugly way, they blame you for what happened
Mm,
instead of them taking on that responsibility, taking accountability for what they have done. If that person feels like they're not really viewed as a human, they're instead looked at as an object or some property.
yeah.
One other thing is if they feel like they're being forced to have sex, if they feel like
Mm,
they they're having to deal with somebody with that unpredictable temper. And something else a lot of people don't think about is if the abuser is controlling their finances, about
mm,
withholding money, giving them an allowance, keeping them from family. It's just so many pieces that go into it because, again, remember, domestic abuse is about controlling that person. And
yeah.
so they want to control every aspect of that person's life. If you got money, then you might could leave me. So I'm not going to give you no money. I'm not going to give you too
Wow.
much. If you go out and
Yeah.
hang out with your friends, they may influence you too much to where they build you up and encourage you to leave me. So I don't want you to go out and hang out with
Mm,
them too much. So you
yeah.
gotta it's just layers to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that you said the money part because I had a couple people reach out to me when they knew I was doing this live and was like, my spouse essentially is kind of controlling the money. I don't know if they're just more frugal or if they're trying to be controlling. And so I sometimes you got to figure out, and this is why it's so good to talk to a licensed professional um,
Mm-hmm.
versus just somebody like me. I don't know. I can kind of give you my opinion, but this is what you do, and I think we need to start having these conversations more of. I'm not trying to accuse them or anything, but this seems not
Mm-hmm.
well. When I go out with my friends, this person is calling me. I don't know if you miss me or if you crazy. You see what I'm saying? Like I don't know, I
Mm-hmm.
can't tell which one. And sometimes we'll label it as, oh, they just miss, do they? Or they
No,
just doing the most.
no. Oh, so I will tell you in my experience, I'll hit on the finance piece and I'll hit on the piece about the
Yes.
calling. So when I
Okay.
do counseling with couples, I typically encourage them to have a minimum of 3 checking accounts.
Okay.
And one is the one partner's, one is the other partner's, and then there's a joint account that's for bills.
Okay.
Once you put in your money for bills, and of course, we want to save some money, so you should have a savings account, but that's another one of the joint accounts if you
Yeah.
like. Or you can also have a joint, like separate savings accounts too, but a minimum of 3. So I tell people you should be able to have an account by yourself. He should be able to have an account by himself because you went to work for that money. So if you didn't pay your bills for that house, how you gonna tell me I can't go and get me something to eat? If I want to run and go get me some Mexican food because I love Mexican food, I'm going to go get me some Mexican food. If he wants to go get him some coffee, some tea, something to go eat, I shouldn't keep him from doing that because he went to work for his money, just like I went to work for my money. We've handled our responsibility of paying the bills in the household. So what you do with that money after that, I always give a caveat, as long as you ain't spending it on somebody else. Then I don't care what you do with the rest of your money because we've handled the house. And again, we put some money in savings. We've done our part for that, for our household. So when it comes to somebody trying to control every piece of the money you spend, once you've handled your responsibilities, then we have to start looking at, okay, is this because I'm so horrible at managing money and they know something's going to come up and they're trying to protect me? Or is this because they don't want me to spend money and live my life and enjoy my life? Or are they trying to get the rest of my money so they can go and do what they want to with it? You know, you got to look at the other factors that are going along with that, you know. In regards to the calling all the time, as we've already said, I'm married. I still like my husband. I tell people that all the time. I really do. I
love y'all. I love it.
I really do like him. So I oftentimes tell people when it's important to have autonomy in your relationship. You should not feel like you're losing who you are in your relationship, or you can't still go and enjoy things without your partner. You should be able to have a girls' weekend, a guys' weekend. Yes, guys can have weekends too, ladies. You should be able to go and do those things and not feel like, oh my God, I'm going to be in trouble when I get home. No, that's a break from your partner. And what it does is it makes me want to get home to him even more and love on him, just as it does for him, because he's gotten a break. He's gotten to hang out with the guys. He's gotten to laugh and talk and do whatever they're doing. Typically, when my husband's out of town or I'm out of town, we'll talk in the morning. I'm going out hanging with my girls, doing shopping, eating. You know, when we go out to eat, honey, we ordering whatever we want. Okay,
we live it.
All the things, honey. And we going to the nice restaurant, and we doing it. And sometimes I think we hold our pinky up. But anyway, we live in our life. And so he may text me, you know, periodically throughout the day. I'm going to guarantee you it's not every hour, nor is it every 2 hours. Okay.
Right.
He may text me to be like, hey, baby, how's your day going? And I'm like, oh, it's going good. We doing blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
And then we normally talk at night, at the end of the night, when we finished our day. We finished hanging out. You know, I'm done hanging out with the girls. I'm at the room. I'm trying to get my shower so I can chill, relax.
Yeah.
But it's not every hour on the hour. It's not every 30 minutes. He's not texting me, being mean to me, telling me, what y'all doing? Y'all out sleeping with somebody else? Y'all with some dude? That's not happening.
Yeah.
That's not going on. Nor do I do him like that.
Yeah.
Because he's hanging out with his friends. And something else I oftentimes tell people is, if somebody want to cheat on you, baby, it's not when they go on girls' weekend or boys' weekend that you need to worry about them. It's when they at home and they're with coworkers that they see every day that they build in relationships with. It's very less likely that you're going to go out and have sex with somebody that you just met when we grown. We're not really doing that, okay? Because we're not trying to risk getting an STD. We're not trying to risk, you know, we're not trying to risk all of those things.
We got stuff to lose, right?
Okay, we got stuff to lose. So we ain't trying to just go out there and just be free with ourselves and be in a whole nother city and just sleeping with somebody random.
Yeah.
Who does that, you know?
Yeah.
So that's not when you need to worry about them. They're enjoying their friends. They're doing what is normal and natural. And that should be a normalcy. We need to make that a norm, that we get to go and spend time with our friends and not feel like we're going to be attacked when we get home, because then that is abuse. It may not be nobody hitting you, but you shouldn't feel like you can't go enjoy your friends or your family and without some repercussions afterwards.
And that even means if I want to take, you know, when you and I talked the other day, I had a young lady inbox me and say, you know, ask, you know, Reece this question, if I want to take a girls trip and my husband is kind of like, no, I don't want you to go. Is that a red flag? Or is that something where I'm just like, I want to protect you? I know things are crazy out here. I feel like when we're together, you are well protected. Or girls trips and guys trip. It's allowed. It should be healthy. And
Yeah.
you very quickly was like, oh no, you absolutely can take a girls trip.
Yes, you
And
can.
if you can't, that's that's a problem.
Yes. It's, I
Yeah.
mean, again, a girls trip, that's your break. That's you hanging out with your girls. Just because you got married to somebody doesn't mean that you just stop being friends with your friends. Absolutely, we want to respect our relationship, but we
Right.
also want to respect who we are as human beings, because what typically happens is if we cut off everybody, say you get married and you cut off all your friends, you cut off your family, what happens
Yeah.
when your children are gone and they gone off to college? What happens
Yeah.
if you get a divorce? Who you left with?
Yeah. So good.
And so oftentimes I have people come in my office and say, I don't know who I am anymore because my children are gone. I
Yeah.
don't have a husband anymore, and I just did everything he wanted me to do. So now I don't know what I like anymore. I don't have any friends because I cut them all off. So what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do?
Yeah. That's good. Listen, we know that men fall victim to domestic violence too, but it's very
Mhm.
seldomly talked about. Why is that?
So, men, and I love y'all men, I'm not a man basher. Um, their pride is a big piece of that. They
Yeah.
feel embarrassed because who wants to say, my wife has hit me, or my wife is talking to me ugly or disrespectful, um, or my wife is mistreating me? Who wants to say that? What
Yeah.
man wants to say that? Because especially, let's not even let's not even go outside of Texas. Let's talk about Texas and the men in Texas. How you got to be a man in Texas. You can't let your woman talk to you like that. So
Yeah.
they're not wanting to open up and be vulnerable like that and say that this is happening to them. They're
Yeah.
scared of what's going to happen. And oftentimes, the women are using children as leverage when
Mm.
they are in these relationships. So if you get this man who loves his children, wants to spend time with his children, doesn't want to be
Yeah.
separated from his children, and then she's saying, I'm gonna keep your kids, who you think they're gonna believe? They always gonna believe the woman over the man.
Mm. Yeah.
And then if there hasn't been any reports made, because oftentimes, again, the men aren't wanting to talk about this. So they're not making police reports. So then when something happens,
Yeah.
and the police get called out to the house, who are the police most likely to believe?
Yeah.
And so it's hard for them to even prove their case sometimes because they have tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. They have tried to avoid it. And then also in same sex relationships,
Yeah.
oftentimes they don't want to bring this up as well.
Mm.
Not only because of it being a man and a man, but because sometimes there's a lot of layers of stuff that's going on within them, such as um, you're already struggling with people accepting you because you
Yeah.
are with another man. And then on
Yeah.
top of that, there's abuse. So what kind of ridicule is going to come with that? What kind of shame is going to come with that? And so
Yeah.
oftentimes that goes back to that pride and that embarrassment and that shame that comes along with it. Also, there's just other things such as not having as many resources
Yeah.
available for men.
For the
They
for the
don't,
man, yeah.
yeah, they don't have as many resources. And oftentimes when they go to the hospital, do you think the nurses or the doctors are going to ask them, were you a victim of abuse?
Yeah.
Versus them asking a woman that when she comes
Right.
in with bruises.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
Mhm.
So men, speak up. This is why I absolutely love your profession and therapists and counselors to be able to have these sort of
Mhm.
conversations that uh, people, just men at least, right? They don't want to talk about it. They feel
Yeah.
shame. They feel embarrassed, but it's absolutely okay. And so thank you for that. Let's dive into psychological abuse. This is the one that I wanted to spend a little bit of time on because it's the one that's the most hidden, I think. I think when you
Mhm.
even talked about earlier with physical, right? Someone hitting you is kind of clear and cut. Like we know that that's a
Yeah.
thing. You can see the bruises. But
Mhm.
psychological, isn't as easy, I think, to detect. So, how would you define psychological abuse? And is that the same as emotional abuse? Does that go hand in hand?
Yeah, they go hand
Okay.
in hand. And so basically, the psychological abuse, psychological trauma is like kind of the long term effects of emotional abuse. And so
Yeah.
it's basically you dealing with stressful events, like situations that have made you feel helpless, made you feel like you were in dangerous situations, made you feel like you were unworthy, that you weren't valuable at all. And it's just all of those emotions and feelings. It could be from traumatic things that happened in your childhood, on
Yeah.
top of the domestic violence situations, on top of situations that have happened in past relationships. It could be already your level of love for yourself, because if you already have low self-esteem and you're getting in this domestic violence and then you have childhood trauma, all of that kind of coming
Yeah.
together, it's just your inability to really cope with it independently, like
Yeah.
needing to go in and really work with somebody on retraining your brain, because when we go through trauma, it
Yeah.
changes our brain. It changes the way we think about things. It changes the way we process things. And so, if you have been going through trauma and stressful events off and
Yeah.
on throughout your whole life, or chronically throughout your whole life, it's hard for you to really sit there and process something in a natural, healthy way, or to be able to
Yeah.
find the positive. Most of the time, when I'm in session with people, sometimes they'll tell me a statement and I'll have to say, what if we changed it up and we reframed that and stated
Yeah.
it like this? And they're like, huh, I never thought about it like that. But that's
Yeah.
oftentimes because they haven't been trained to think about it like that, or the trauma has kept them in a state of negative kind of energy, in a state of like self-loathing kind of
Mm.
behaviors.
Yeah. Do you feel like consistent infidelity in a relationship, not just marriage, but just in general, is that a
Mhm.
sign of abuse, or is it something separate? Um, what's your thoughts on that?
I definitely think if it's something that is knowingly done over and
Yeah.
over and over again, it is a sign of abuse, because that impacts that person emotionally,
Yeah.
whether it's male or female, because they feel like I'm not good enough. Why do they
Yeah.
keep having to go to somebody else to get what I'm giving them? I thought I was doing it the way they wanted to. What is it about me that
Me.
makes them
Hmm.
want to? And so they take on that blame instead of them trying to figure out, okay, what's going on with the other person. And but instead they take on that. They take it on and they own it. Like it's only them in that situation that's causing the infidelity.
Yeah. So we got a couple comments. We have, this is a great conversation. Thank you for this information. We have insight on different perspectives are very important, and to get rid of biases. That's so good. Thank you, Marlene. Thank you guys for these comments. Um, what sort of long-term effects have you seen with psychological? Because like you said, like this isn't just an overnight thing. And I could only imagine if
Mm-hmm.
someone's in your head over and over and over again, and I'm not enough, and the shaming and the
Mm-hmm.
embarrassment, what sort of long-term effects have you seen in your clients where it's like, listen, this is not good, and over time this is going to make you X, Y, and Z? What have you seen?
Yeah. So some of the long-term effects are, they're kind of the same for overall domestic
Yeah.
violence, but low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, feeling like no energy, just scared, ashamed, confused. They've been isolated from family and friends, so they feel alone. Those symptoms are there, and oftentimes individuals feel so low that, and if they don't get the help they need, they're just going to repeat the cycle. So if you
Yeah.
come out of one relationship, say you get that energy and you say, okay, I'm going to leave, but then if you don't heal, if you don't take that time to work on yourself and really dig into you and figure out what you need to do differently, how you can love yourself. And I always tell people, I want you to fall in love with yourself. And I tell them your flaws and all, honey. You
Flaws
gotta
and
love
all.
all of it. If you don't
Take
like
it
your
all.
stomach, if you don't like your thighs, if you don't like that mark on the back of your leg, all of it.
Yeah.
We gotta love it
Yes.
all because it's about accepting who we are and loving
So good.
ourselves where we are. And so, if we don't heal from that, we're just going to repeat the cycle again. We're
Yeah.
going to find
Yeah.
another partner that does the same thing over and over again. So
Yeah.
those behaviors continue, so that anxiety continues to increase. That shame, that self-loathing,
Yeah.
all of
Yep.
those things are just kind of lifelong behaviors.
Yeah. I feel like I heard just like growing up, and I grew up in a domestic violence household. So I'm very, when I tell you I under, I don't necessarily understand it all, but I witnessed it all from
Mm-hmm.
birth, essentially, right? And some of the narrative around it was very much like, this is kind of what love looks like, right? Like, especially when it's like your first interpretation of love. And so, what are your thoughts on people when they have these sort of conversations and these kind of this is love. If he hits me, if he checks on me, if he's overly calling, or if she's overly doing this, and look, she's jealous. That's sexy. That's cute. Is this love? Is this a form of love? Is
That's
abuse
no,
love? What we want with the love? Is any of it love?
that's a lie, is what that is. So that's not love.
Yeah,
Oftentimes, all of that is insecurities,
yeah, so good.
because I am, and I've had low self-esteem myself before, but I'm a very
Yeah,
confident woman.
yes,
I To give you an example, my husband works in education. He works with women all day long. But let me tell you what I'm not going to do is sit up and be like, oh my God, what is my husband doing? Is he talking? No, because I'm confident in the woman I am. I'm
yes.
confident in the person I am. So if he decides to do something, I don't believe he's doing that. I don't want nobody thinking that he's doing that. If he
But for the
decides to do something,
yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up and say, oh my God, I'm just supposed to deal with that because he loves me. Oh, he can do that, because it's
Mm,
normal for him to do it. No, I'm going to say, well, he decided to leave this
yeah.
wonderfulness.
Yep. It's a
You heard me say
decision.
wonderfulness.
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 Somebody
So,
put in the chat
yes,
wonderfulness. Listen, that's
yes.
the word. That is
So
the word. I love
I
that.
think all of those things are coming from insecurities. It is insecurities. You're insecure about the person you are. You're insecure about your ability to make them happy. You're insecure about you really being in control. So you're trying to make somebody else feel like put them on your level of
Yeah.
insecurity. You're making somebody deal with your insecurities instead of saying, I'm a wonderful person. I'm a confident person. Let me make sure I'm doing all I can. So if this person does decide to leave, I've done all I could.
Yes.
And that goes back to self-love,
That's
because when
good.
we love ourselves, we're happy with who we are, whether we're with somebody or not. I
Yeah.
refer to our spouses, our partners, or whatever. I refer to those as bonuses. Honey, I'm
Yeah.
happy with myself by myself, but my
Yeah.
husband is a bonus.
That's in addition. That's in addition to what I already
Yes.
feel about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love it. He said, my coworkers ain't got nothing on you, babe. Not even close. Because he said what he said, just so we're
Yes.
clear. I absolutely love it. So, okay, so abuse is not a love. And
No,
so this
no.
is what I want to ask you too. This is not even on our list, but it's in my spirit. I've never been married.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think of marriage and just the institution of it, it's very much for better or for worse through everything, no matter what. Is abuse inclusive of that sort of love? Or is there limits to all of that? Like, is that part of the package deal is we said forever, no matter what? Or is that kind of the things that's kind of getting us in trouble? That mindset. I don't know. I'm not married, and married people, they love to jump on me when I ask married questions. But us singles got to know, is abuse
I
part of the
don't
package?
I don't believe that's a part of the package. Now,
Okay.
people are free to do whatever they want to in their relationship, as long as
Okay.
they ain't inviting me to join in it. So in my household, and in the definition of what I consider love to be. I don't consider you being mean to somebody that you're supposed to want to spend the rest of your life with. That's not
Yeah.
normal to me, nor do I ever want it to become normal.
Yeah.
So, in my eyes, yes, we're going to have challenges. Yes, we're going to have things that we don't necessarily agree upon every time, but that don't
Yeah.
mean you need to be ugly to that person. That don't mean you need to hit that person. That doesn't mean you need to talk down to that person.
So
What
good.
the definition of, again, this is my definition
Yeah.
of being loving and staying there for better or for worse, is saying, hey, we're going to work through this so we can make sure that we're successful in our marriage, because
Yeah.
both of us are going to put in the effort to make sure we're working on our own crap separately
Yeah.
and our stuff together. So if we have a disagreement about something, let's not yell or fuss or cuss at each other. Let's, if we need to take a moment, if we need to say, hey, I'm a little upset about this right now, I need
Yeah.
a minute. I need a minute because I don't want to be disrespectful to you.
Yeah.
You can take that minute, but then coming back and having that conversation and discussing what one person's feeling is, what the other person's feeling is, because
Yeah.
oftentimes when we have a conversation, we'll find out the underlying meaning for that person saying what they said, and then we can be more understanding and show that person some grace and respect. And
Yeah.
one big piece of marriage is that a lot of people confuse. They think, oh, I have to agree with everything my spouse says. No, you don't. But you do need to respect it.
Yeah.
So, for instance, and this is not a controlling thing. If I, some of us, we want to feel sexy. We want to
Yeah.
be feeling ourselves. And sometimes
Yeah.
that sexiness comes at a cost of me wearing something that may be, almost right down the line of being revealing.
Yeah.
And so if my husband says, I don't have a problem with you wearing that, I just want to be with you when you wear it. And you
Okay.
say, oh, okay, I can respect that.
Yes. I like
That's
that.
that's a difference. Now, if he says, "Oh no, you ain't never wearing that," it's like, "Oh,
Totally.
oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Totally different.
yes."
Yes.
So, me respecting my husband and him wanting to be with me, one, so he can enjoy me being in the outfit, but
Yeah.
two, to make sure that nobody else is disrespecting me while I'm in it, and I can
Good.
still feel my sexy self.
Yeah.
Versus you feeling like you're being controlled and you're only be able to wear certain things and you got to cover every part of your body up and all of that. I don't
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah. That's so good. Marlene said, is cheating included in that better or worse?
So this is a tangled question, but
Yeah.
it's layers to this as well.
Okay.
Going back to making sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. Not that I'm giving anybody a ticket to go and cheat, but if your spouse cheated, make sure you haven't told them no every time. Make sure, and this is something I tell my young couples especially, y'all need to have a conversation about sex and
Yeah.
what you
That's so
want
good.
in your relationship. So if
Yeah.
you love sex 3-4 times a week and your partner is like, oh, I'm good with once a month, y'all gonna have
Yeah.
a problem. Okay. So y'all
Yeah.
need to have those discussions. If one person is okay with oral sex and the other one is not okay with oral sex,
Yeah.
y'all gonna have a problem.
Yep.
So if you feel like those things are going to become a problem, y'all need to figure out how y'all are going to handle those things going forward. So no, I'm not saying it's okay to cheat on your spouse, but
Yeah.
I'm also saying you got to make sure that you're pleasing your spouse just like they should be pleasing you. And I'm not saying this should be forced or dominated or anything like that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that's a part of marriage. Sex is a part of marriage. Sex is a
Yep.
part of a relationship. And if you know your partner enjoys sex 3 or 4 times a week and you trying to
Yeah.
wait 6 months,
We
we got to figure out
gotta talk.
where that
It's that
line is.
communication. Yeah.
Yes, we got to
It's those
figure out where that
uncomfortable
line
conversations.
is.
It's those
Yes.
uncomfortable conversations, and I think that doesn't change, right? When you get married,
Right.
we should still be having. I know a couple of my married friends. They do like check-ins. Every couple
Mm-hmm.
of months, like, how are things working for you? How is our sex life?
Mm-hmm.
How is my
Right.
communication? How is
Right.
whatever? How's work? Just really having these conversations. And how can I be a better spouse to you? How can I be a better partner
Absolutely.
to you? Those questions are
Yes.
very, very important. And I think that sometimes relationships can get on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we're not even talking. It's just straight up
Complacency.
complacency. And so, yeah. So thank you,
Yeah.
Marlene, for that question.
One more
Um, oh no,
caveat to that question,
absolutely.
just a little
Yes,
piece to that.
yes,
I
please.
think the other thing is sometimes if we have those uncomfortable conversations, we can also figure out why is that person not so sexually enthused? Why do they not want to have sex? It could be that this person may have been abused as a child and they never
Yeah,
worked through it. And so they haven't been able to enjoy sex in the way that they should be able to. So they need to
yeah.
go through a healing process so that they can fully enjoy that sexual relationship.
That's
But
so good.
also, something else I want people to really remember, because oftentimes people think, oh my gosh, I'm not supposed to do this, I'm not supposed to do that because of this reason or that reason. It could be religion, it could be family things, it could be the stigma. But I tell people that's your bedroom. Nobody
Yeah.
should be in your bedroom but you. Y'all can do whatever y'all want to in your bedroom. So if
Absolutely.
y'all need to introduce some other things in your bedroom to make sure that both of you are pleased, then
Yep.
you do that. And then that decreases the chance of anybody wanting to step out.
Yeah.
So
That's so funny
just
because we talk about this all the time, how like all of the big topics that we should be talking about, like prior to marriage, we don't talk about. Like we don't talk about money,
mhm.
right? You don't talk about sex. You don't talk about all of the big things. That childhood trauma is like
Mhm.
a really big one for me. Like, you want to date me?
Yes.
I need to fix what's your childhood trauma, because we all have it. But
Yes.
how much have you dug into, and how much work that you've done? And so
Yes.
it's always interesting that people want to be in relationships, but you have no idea how like these big conversations will impact you for
Yes.
the long run. Rachel says, "You preaching, boo. I love this. I don't know who the boo is. Hopefully he's talking about me, girl." If and Abby said, "Facts." So they are in tune with this conversation. Let's talk about um, why people don't leave abusive relationships. Um, I feel like we put the blame a lot on the victim or the survivor, and
Mhm.
we never talk about how did the person that they're with um, causing them harm, how did the person that they're with that's actually causing them harm prevent them from leaving. That's not how it's proposed. It's very much like, why aren't you leaving, versus how this person prevented me from it.
Mhm.
Let's dive in deeper to that. What does that look like? Why people don't leave, and why do we not place the blame on the actual abuser?
So again, this is another one of those questions that has layers. So if we
Yeah.
think about it, and this is going to kind of go into one of your other questions, um, if you are a child of parents who you witness domestic violence, if
Yeah.
you already have low self-esteem, if you already have body image issues, if you already have been bullied your whole life, and then you go into adulthood and you meet this person who's nice to you, and because again the abuser profile, they're going to woo you in, they're going to
Mm,
manipulate you, so they're going to start out really sweet and loving and nice and kind, and then they add on the layers of the
solid.
abuse and the controlling behaviors. So
Yeah.
you come in and you think, oh, I found somebody, I got somebody, and then they start acting like that. They've already gotten you under their wing because
Yeah.
they know that you have all of this history. They know
Yeah.
that you're vulnerable. They know you're easier to manipulate. And when people are abusers, they pick people that they know that they can take advantage of, that they can abuse. They pick up on the personalities, they pick up
Yeah.
on the low self confidence, they pick up on all of that. And so it's hard for a person to leave who's been beaten down so much, and they've been
So
told they're not anything, they're not loved, nobody else is going to want them, they're fat, they're ugly, they don't have
yeah.
good sex, they're they don't know how to dress. all types of things. You would be amazed at some of the things people are told. They're told
Yeah.
all these things, so they think, well, I might as well stay here because at least they want to put up with me sometimes. At least they're
Yeah.
nice to me sometimes. So they stay because they've been beat down so much. And the blame should be put on the abuser, but then also the victim needs to be healed as well.
It's
Um,
good.
but the abuser has taken advantage of these individuals. The abuser has taken advantage of this person's vulnerability, you know.
Yeah.
So I hope that
Yes.
answers your
It
question.
does. And you already know it was leading into my next one. Like if you grew up in a domestic violence household and all you've seen is verbal and mental and physical abuse, does that make a person more susceptible to this
It
sort of abuse?
does.
Okay.
It does because they consider that as normal. That's
Yeah.
normalcy to them. Now, sometimes you get the total opposite. You get the opposite to where they're like, I am never going to hit my woman. I'm never going to raise my voice at her. I'm never going to hit my children. I'm never going to yell
Yeah.
at my like it. So because it had that type of effect, and some of that just depends on that person's personality and how their perception of things. But
Yeah.
definitely, if they did live in that type of situation, it does make them more susceptible to it because that's normal. Just like, for example, your mama taught you how to make meatloaf a certain way.
Yeah.
You're going to
That's how you
make
gonna make it.
meatloaf that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's normal
Yeah.
for you. And so for them, if they grew up in a household where it was cussing, fussing, fighting, all kinds of things going on all the time, that's their normal
Yeah.
life. So they feel like that's what they're carrying into their adulthood as
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. That's so good, which is why it's so important to unpack some of those things in life that
Yes.
we knew as normal. Like grandpa had 15 other kids outside his, you know what I mean? Like that's a stretch. But I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
when you start seeing these things, oh mom accepted this, oh, that must be normal. Which is why it's so
Mm.
important that, at least for me and I hope for other people, so important on what I'm showing Ryan and how I choose to move relationally, because this is
Yes.
her first interpretation on what love is.
Absolutely.
And it's so important. And that's a whole different sort of conversation, but it's important on what you show your kids, because you're shaping
Hmm.
their importance, you're shaping their this is okays. And
Right.
it can go either way, which
Yes.
is so important. Why you need to heal prior to
Yes.
kids, but if you can't, start doing it now.
Yes.
Let me see, we have a question. when a person in this type of when is a person in this type of situation, what steps do they need or can wait what steps do they need or can take to start the healing process and learn to love themselves? That's such a great question.
So basically, one, some therapy is needed. And you need a
Yeah.
therapist that's going to be real with you and is going to kind of not force you, but kind of nudge you a little bit, because oftentimes when you have been controlled for so long, you kind of just go along with what you're used to. You gotta
Yeah.
That person has to be able to kind of nudge you a little bit to really reveal who you are. What are your feelings? I oftentimes ask people, what is it that you like? What is it that you want to do?
That's
And
so
you would be
good.
amazed how many people say, I don't know,
I don't
because they've
know.
been doing something that somebody else has told them for so long. And so it really involves you going through the process of really digging deep into what happened in my childhood, what happened in previous relationships, what happened in this relationship. Why don't I love myself? Did society have an influence on this? What kind of comments stuck in my head when I was, growing up that made me feel like, oh, I'm not worth a man that's not going to hit me, or I'm not worth a woman that's not going to scream and yell at me all the time. But
Yeah.
really digging through those layers of what brought you to this place, or what got you to this place, so that you can heal from that. But also knowing, and this is where a lot of people stumble, you oftentimes need to pull back from relationships while you're in this healing process. Because if you're broken and you're trying to work on really figuring out who you are and what you want in a relationship, then what are you doing confusing yourself with the
Yeah.
relationship. Because
Yeah.
love makes us stupid, just to be honest. It kind of makes us stupid because we'll just do
Does.
whatever because we so in love. We're just, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and we're gonna drive 20 hours to go see this rock fall out the sky, and then we're gonna
Yep.
come home. And it's like, oh, y'all gonna go 20 hours for that?
Yeah.
Or
That was
it's just,
romantic.
yeah, right. We kind of get stupid, but we need to take that time. We need to pull away and really
Yeah.
get to know ourselves again. And that goes back to falling in love with yourself,
I
because we
love
have to
it.
accept who we are, the bad stuff that's happened, the good stuff that's happened, the childhood traumas. We got to be
Yeah.
able to accept all of those things and process through that and
Yeah.
understand how that impacted us, so that we can move forward and know what our boundaries are, know what our limitations are in relationship, know that when we see those red flags, I need to just go on and pull away,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I deserve better than that. I deserve
Yeah.
somebody who's going to speak to me properly. I deserve somebody who's going to apologize and take accountability for when they said something wrong. And I'm going to do the same, because I
Yeah.
don't think
Right.
it should be different rules. I'm going to do the same, but we
Yeah.
really have to make sure we pull back and start that healing process. And sometimes we have to learn that we're going to lose some relationships in the process of this.
Yeah.
We're
As we
gonna lose
should.
some people. Yes, we're gonna lose some
Yeah.
people. You may have to push some people away and stop
Yeah.
answering some phone calls and text messages. Because if he only
Yeah.
text and call you when he wanna, y'all know,
Yeah.
then that's
Dot,
not the
dot, dot, dot,
person.
dot.
That's not the one. Okay,
You,
so you
you
gotta
know,
fall in love with yourself again.
you know, and I think that's the common theme with, I've done a many of lives, but it always seems to go back to self.
Self
How do you feel about
about
you?
you.
And I think that is
Yeah.
what my therapist was able to do, was to pull out this Erica who was like, that's not the things you saw in your childhood wasn't okay. These relationships, if I pulled away from some friends that's married and some friends that's in relationships, that I'm just like, I
Mhm.
don't like the way that this looks. It doesn't look
Absolutely.
well. And I'm trying to reframe my thought process of healthy, and being
Yes.
around a whole bunch of dysfunctional relationships for me
Absolutely.
it just no longer works for me. Now I can do
Mm-mm.
a couple of y'all, okay, but it's handpicked. And then I'm very clear. I can only hang out with you for a little bit, like, because I want to
Yes.
change the narrative not only for myself but for Ryan. And so
Yes.
I think if all you've ever seen was toxicity and
Mhm.
abuse, it's so easy to mirror that sort of
Yes.
pattern. So it goes back to you loving you having these very healthy boundaries of, I don't play about me,
Right.
so you can't play about me. It's not how it's going to
Right.
work. And so that can kind of help, I'm assuming, with even, turning the red flags pink, right? The red flags, this person didn't just become an abuser. He been an abuser. He just, you missed some of the flags early on. All that, like you said, we
Yes.
driving 20 hours to watch. That's not romantic. And why you
No.
doing a lot? Doing a lot too quick. You're doing a lot.
Yep.
And so watching out for some of these signs. Is it possible for someone who, say someone in a relationship and the girl or the guy, they slapped you, right? They were in the heat of the moment, they laid a little smack, and never to be seen again. Does that normally happen? Can it happen? Are we just saying that every abusive relationship, it can't turn around? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I definitely think anybody can change.
Okay.
And sometimes we do make a huge mistake. But you got to stop and see, is this a pattern? Are there
Yeah.
other things that go along with this? Was this, he had a rough day at work, then he got in an argument with his mama on the phone on the way home, and then I came in and we was
Yeah.
arguing, and then he just lost it, or is this something he does every time we get into an argument? Is he at the
Yeah.
point of wanting to hit me every time we have a disagreement? Does he get really aggressive with me all the time? And so, really asking yourself those realistic questions and pulling yourself back and saying, if I saw my sister going through this, if I saw my niece going through this, or my cousin, how would I feel? Are these
Yeah.
things okay? And communicating that. And honey, if you see it and it's a pattern, run. Get on.
Quick too.
Out the way. Yes.
Gone.
Not
Yeah.
not saying this person can't change, but I'm not fit to sit here and wait on you to do it.
Yeah.
You need to do that on your own.
Yeah.
They
That's
need
so
to make
good.
those changes on their own. I'm not just gonna sit here and let you abuse me through your
Nope.
process
Yep.
because
Yep.
I don't deserve that. And so again, sometimes we have to step away.
Yeah. So Marlene says most therapists that I've experienced have just listened with little to no resources. Should you just talk to them for an hour and then leave? What should be expected? Or or the 1 hour is not long enough, or do you need more time essentially? So basically when you go in, you talk to a therapist, they're not really providing the resources. And I think you touched on that a little bit earlier. And it's just an hour session and then it's done. I'm back out for the streets. How long? I mean, I have my own opinion of it, but I'm gonna let you talk about it as a therapist because you got it.
I think I want Marlene to know one part of our agreement when we're licensed as therapists is to do no harm. And I feel like we are doing harm to our clients if we're not providing them with resources. So
Absolutely.
when I talk to my clients, I tell them things that they can do to try and help, whether that be using assertive communication, whether that be resources in the community that they can use, whether that be what a typical relationship looks like. And I think
Yeah.
a big piece of that is still allowing them the freedom to make the decision on their own, because I can't tell you whether to stay with somebody or not. It's
Yeah.
not my
Yeah.
decision to make, but I can tell you what's normal. I can tell you how it's impacting you mentally and physically, because mental health and physical health are connected. So when you
They
don't
are.
feel well mentally, you don't feel well physically.
Good.
And so I typically encourage people to use assertive communication initially to try to see if you can set some boundaries and see if this person is willing to make some changes
Yeah.
before we make the big step of you deciding what you want to do. But again, you have to be willing to put these things in place in order for the changes to happen. But if that other person is not doing their part, then you get
Yeah.
to decide, do I want to stay or do I want to go? But yes, we should be providing resources. We should be providing ways of thinking. We should be talking about how it makes us feel overall when we are experiencing abuse. And this could be in any relationship. You could be
Yeah.
experiencing abuse by your parents, your siblings, your
So
cousins,
good.
somebody,
Right.
anybody, your
Anybody.
boss. Yeah. So being able to be assertive in that communication with them and talking about how you can try to stop that, like by saying, you know, don't put your hands on me. Don't talk to
Yeah.
me. Just being very direct. And then if you've given them that opportunity to change and they're still not changing, then you have a decision to make.
Yeah. And I always say, finding a therapist, and this is to Marlene's question, finding a therapist is like finding a church, right? Like most people, when they go to church, they don't find the first church home that they absolutely love. It takes some fishing around. It takes,
Mm-hmm.
how does this make me feel? And I mean, I'm blessed to have my therapist now, but I went through several therapists before I found the one who gave me this synergy and who gave me extremely tough love. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would say, Marlene, if your therapist if you feel like an hour is just wasted, I have resources. Reese has resources. If you want to talk offline, this is an hour session of where I'm just sitting up there bored. Like they should be pouring into you. They should be providing you all of the things that you need in order to
Right.
move forward. So it just sounds like it's probably not a good fit for you.
Well, and I will tell you this, Marlene, and I'll tell my clients this as well. If I am not a good fit for you, I'm not butthurt or upset if you decide to go
Yeah,
to somebody else, because my goal is not for me to be pleased in the therapy process. My
yeah,
goal is for you to be pleased and you to get the help you need. So whoever can give you that is who you need to go to. We
that's
can't
right.
be selfish. That's not what we should do as therapists. Our goal should be you getting that person that you can talk to, that's going to be real with you, that's going to help you grow mentally
Yes,
and deal with your crap so that you can
yes.
get to that place you want to be.
and challenge you. I think that's one thing about
Yeah.
my therapist. I'm like, leave me alone. She's like, you ain't come for me to leave you alone. Like, she challenges
Right.
me in so many ways and challenges my thought process and challenges my beliefs and challenges how I feel about certain things. And sometimes it's extremely uncomfortable, but
Hmm.
it's necessary. Valencia has a question, but it's tying literally right into this ending question, which is like, what resources are available for victims? And what if a person can't afford a therapist? Is there any sort of services or low cost therapy that's absolutely available for people?
So it depends. There are some therapists, you kind of just have to ask them if they're willing to do some pro bono work.
Yeah,
There are some resources too, like in local mental health authorities. Sometimes they will have services available like crisis counseling that are for free. Or you could try to go through like a domestic violence shelter. They may have some short-term kind of therapy, but also what a lot of people don't think about is your job. If you have an EAP at your job,
yeah,
they give you, I believe it's 6 to 8. It depends on the company. You get a
yep,
certain amount of sessions for free through work. Go to HR and ask
yep,
them, tell them that you're stressed, what's going on, is
yep,
impacting you coming to work, all the things, whatever it's doing. And they can set you up with getting those sessions for free. They have a therapist that they use or a company that they use. I have some clients I see that are through EAP.
yeah,
So you utilize those resources. You going to work every day for this company. So if they
yeah,
have those resources available for you, use those. But also some therapists will offer a certain amount of pro bono stuff every year.
yeah,
It just depends on the therapist and their availability. I will say if they offer pro bono, please respect their time because they're taking that time out to set that hour aside for you. So make sure
yeah,
that you are there. Um, there are some support groups. I would kind of just Google for your area to see what support groups are available for you
yeah,
and see if there's additional services. It's so if it's a situation where you have foul charges, they typically have like victim services and stuff in place that you can get some additional services from as well.
yeah. Jen said there's virtual groups are available as well. So also I
Yes.
can tell you guys what I do in order. So I go to therapy every single month, and not all the time is it extreme. Like last session I had, we were talking about like boundaries around the holidays with family. Like, so I
Hmm.
go every month. That's part of, I want to go to brunch, I want to go to work out. You need to work out your mental. And what I do is I have a flex spending card at my job. And a lot of course, therapists take insurance. And so I put on, I allocate a certain amount every year to where it's already coming out of my check, it's going onto my card, and they just deduct from that. So, I mean, it's still your money, but I'm not feeling it and seeing it as much
Hmm.
as if I was pulling out like my debit card. So that's an option too. I do it absolutely every year. Sometimes I use all the money, sometimes I don't, but then I can also use it for like co-pays when I go to the doctor or take my daughter to the doctor. So that's another way of kind of fitting that in as well.
Yes.
So in closing, I always ask this question, and I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna ask the dope audience members, and I need this whole live to blow up. Tell me one thing, Reece, that you absolutely love about you. Like, can't nobody say this. Can't nobody like this. This me. This can't nobody. I wish they would, because they can't. What's one thing you absolutely love about yourself?
I love that I am genuinely, authentically me. I am me.
Yeah,
Like everybody may not like it, and that's fine.
that's
But I'm
fine.
me. I'm loving. I'm kind. I'm honest.
I
I'm
love
honest.
that.
If you ask me something, I will tell you the truth. I will say it in a way that's nice and respectful, but I will
Yeah,
tell you the truth.
yeah,
So I think it's that's one of the best qualities about me because I feel like I'm being me. I'm not trying to beat around the bush. I'm not trying to put up a show for anybody. If you don't like me, that's fine. I'm not mad at you, but I'm gonna be me all day, every day, and I'm gonna try to make sure that I don't disrespect anybody in being me, but I'm going to be me.
well, we love you though. We absolutely love you.
Thank
We love
you.
your personality. I need y'all to be telling me. Don't be trying to get off the live because we ended. Because I'm going back through the comments. Okay, you need to tell us one thing y'all love about y'all. Start dropping it in the comments. We have I absolutely love my curly hair. We have thank you, Jen. She dropped some resources. Meetup.com is a good place to find virtual support groups. Where can people find you?
I am on Psychology Today. My profile is on there for my therapy, but I use two platforms for I bill insurance under two different platforms. One is called Grow Therapy, and one is called Sondermind.
Okay.
If you look on Psychology Today, you can reach out to me directly through email or phone call, and I can link you up with getting set up to do services with me depending on what insurance. I also take self-pay clients, just depending on if you want to come in office or virtual. I do self-pay for both. Like I said, I am located in downtown Tyler. I do have an office that you can come in person. I know that's a big thing. A lot of people are sick of just everybody doing virtual, but I do offer in-person therapy if you're in the Tyler area. I can only service people in Texas, though. I do want people to know that I'm not licensed in any other state. But if you are in Texas, I can see anybody in the whole state of Texas.
Good. And I'll drop your information below after the live. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. I was excited about this live. This cannot be our last one, but thank you for pouring into us. And I encourage anyone that is looking to get some help or just have more or just want more information about this conversation, reach out to Reece. I'll put her information in the chat. Reach out to me. I know some therapists as well. And we can get this started because I don't want anyone going into 2023 feeling like they're helpless, feeling like they're not enough, and feeling like they're alone. So thank you guys so much. We will be in touch. Everyone have a great Sunday.
Bye.
Love you. Bye, guys.